We appreciate opportunity. As self-published authors, we don't want to strap ourselves into any one revenue stream. Multiple revenue streams are good. So this gives you an opportunity. We have PublishDrive, who has joined us as well, a new addition from last year. Kobo, Draft2Digital, Reedsy, and BookFunnel. If you want to introduce yourselves and give a 1 minute, 2 minute pitch on what you bring to the table here, I'd appreciate it.
I am Dan Wood. I'm the Director of Author Relations at Draft2Digital. I have the really awesome job where I get to go around to all these conferences and talk to y'all and drink with y'all and kind of just tell people about Draft2Digital. So.
I'm the winner of the first annual push-up contest.
Suck it, LaFave!
I'm Chrissy from Kobo. Kobo is based in Toronto, but our parent company is Rakuten in Japan, so our real focus is global reach, and I run the free self-publishing platform Kobo Writing Life. It's super easy to upload your stuff and get your ebooks and pretty soon audiobooks into the hands of Kobo readers worldwide.
Hey guys, my name is Kinga, and I'm from PublishDrive. I'm CEO and co-founder there as well, and we basically build a self-publishing platform, which is global as well, so we share the same values with Kobo. We actually can get your books to the Google Play Bookstore and to China as well, and there are some awesome marketing tools in the platform too, what you can use. And we actually started to work with some startup stuff which are supported by AI, so some smart tools which can help you to categorize your books, for instance. And we started out from Europe, so we have this global perspective. And yeah, let's have a chat later on if you have any questions about how to be global.
I'm Damon Courtney. I'm from BookFunnel. We are an ebook distribution, delivery, and digital fulfillment service, which basically just means that we deliver ebooks to little old ladies' Kindles. But we are platform agnostic, so we deliver books outside of all the bookstore systems. So all the Kobos and Barnes & Nobles and Amazons of the world, they all deliver your books really, really well. But if you want to deliver your books to everybody all at once, then that's where we come in.
Awesome. I'm Ricardo Fayet from Reedsy, also known as Spanish Jesus. Gotta keep the brand going. I had no idea I was going to be on this panel, but yeah, I have a similar job to Dan Wood. I get to go to awesome conferences, talk to authors, and let them know about Draft2Digital and BookFunnel, because I really hate selling Reedsy. But for those of you who don't know, Reedsy is basically a marketplace connecting authors with really, really good editors, designers, cover designers, illustrators, marketers, publicists, ghostwriters, website designers, hopefully translators soon as well. And we really vet those people to make sure that they're good. So yeah.
What's the greatest opportunity through your individual platform, like as in a genre or type of book or audiobook? What's like the number one? I remember what prompted this question was Dan Wood in London talking about some genres did better wide and some did better in KU. So in your individual platforms like Damon and BookFunnel, what genre do you think hits best?
If you judge by our support, I would say that romance and mysteries do really well because we hear from a lot of old ladies. But that's kind of skewed because tens of thousands of people get books every day that don't ask for help. Looking at the stats we don't ask authors what genres their books are in when you upload them to BookFunnel. It really doesn't matter to us. But just from the number of books that I've seen, it spreads all over. I mean, the kind of genres that you would expect, sci-fi and fantasy, the ones that tend to engender really, really devout readers. So romance, if you're not writing, if you're not a romance writer, the romance authors for decades have been building readerships that are just rabid fan bases, and they love everything that they can get their hands on, and we see a lot of that. And then sci-fi and fantasy, I tend to pay attention to more because those are my genres, and that's what I read and that's what I write, and so I pay attention to a lot of those books. But really, the things that people are doing on BookFunnel that I see genre-based that are working really well are, like Chris Rush was talking about, people using short stories and novellas as rewards for their fans to try and take those. You know, when a fan discovers your books and they suddenly discover a new author that they love, they want to gather all the material that they can, especially if you're writing in series and you create little short one-offs or side character stories and things like that, and you take them on a little side journey through a short story. Most series readers are completists. They want to read everything that they can from that series, everything they can get their hands on. And so a little 2,000-word short story is a great way to get people onto your mailing list and turn them into a super fan, somebody who's going to buy every single thing that you can possibly publish. And I would say we see more of that in sci-fi and fantasy. The sci-fi fantasy authors really seem to have it locked in with the series especially. It's a little harder in romance. The romance authors tend to do big worlds instead of series, but the series lock-in for sci-fi and fantasy is just solid all the way through. Once you make a fan who gets to like your second book, they'll just plow through everything you've got.
Okay. Kinga?
Yeah, so we can see definitely that a lot of romance authors are actually getting the advantage of PublishDrive, especially if you think about that throughout PublishDrive you can go to 400 stores, including Google Play Store as well. And yeah, Google is the biggest search engine, right? So if you are listed on Google, then you actually have a better chance to stand out in the search as well, if people are looking for your books in the specific genres as well. So this is really important for you guys if you actually want to have more readers coming through your platform and to your books. And we can see that the romance writers are taking quite well in terms of going wide. Fantasy authors are pretty good in that sense too, and we are getting more interest from sci-fi authors as well. And it's pretty interesting, not just the stores or retail partners who actually we are working with, but territory-wise as well. There are different kind of genres which are selling better in China, for instance, or in India. And don't forget that there are like 500 million English-speaking people worldwide who actually can buy your books outside of the States. So it's a huge number and it's a huge market to step foot in. And yeah, that's what we've been working on a lot. And we can see that even if you actually can use some marketing tools as well, like getting featured positions. For instance, we had one romance title getting featured during summertime in the Apple bookstore, in the US store. That was a huge deal. So you can imagine that during summertime, romance books getting featured, they can get a lot of attention. So our author, she actually could get 5 times more sales during this featured position in the US store, in Apple Books. So it was awesome to be part of this.
Okay. Kobo?
I would say romance always is our top genre, especially active romance, so more on the erotica side of things. But very, very close seconds would be sci-fi and fantasy. And then non-genre specific, across genres, box sets sell really well. We have a lot of binge readers on Kobo who don't want to wait for your series to come out. So once you have a series that's full and complete, you can put out a big box set. You can do like an omnibus. You can chunk it out and do like books 1 to 3, 4 to 7, I'm not going to do the math, but so on, and then price those such that they get a bit of a discount when they're buying them all at once. And we don't cut your royalty above $9.99. So we have authors selling $27, $30 box sets and selling those well, and your return on ad investment for those box sets can be pretty sweet. And on the very other side of the spectrum, free still does really well for Kobo. I know that's not true at all retailers, but it works well for us.
So, just like everyone's saying, romance drives the industry so much. So it's the biggest one. Things vary a little bit by the subgenres of romance, and this is true for all of the genres. I think the most important thing you can do is ask people in your genre how they're doing wide and how they're doing in KU. But for us, what we see is romance does very well. It's the top one at all of our platforms. Mysteries and thrillers do very well. Fantasy, urban fantasy, does pretty well. But epic fantasy, it can work, but it's not always a hit at all the platforms. You can kind of tell, guessing by what sells at a platform, what the demographics are. In Barnes & Noble, it's older people. It's definitely older people, just from what's selling there. I think Michael Tamblin from Kobo, who's their CEO, said a couple of years ago, theirs is definitely the silver-haired crowd that are their main consumers. With Apple, I would guess it's a much younger age range. It seems to be primarily female and like 25 plus, because stuff like new adult and young adult stuff does much better at Apple than some of the other retailers. So it's been exciting to watch all of that. For us, I think there's a huge opportunity for nearly all the genres in libraries, and so we've been making a big push this year into libraries. So we're doing like several promotions with Biblioteca and Overdrive for this upcoming holiday season that I'm very excited about. And then we just kicked off a sale with Kobo. So if you're interested in some awesome books, you should check out the sale with Kobo, because it's featuring like 400 or so different titles from our authors. So we're excited about that.
We have a variety of folks on stage. We have distributors, we have publishers, and we have Reedsy, which is across all platforms.
It's a good way to put it.
It's like the setup to win organization. Dan, can you explain the difference between a distributor and a publisher?
Yeah, so we as a distributor, we just help you. Like, you keep all of your rights. You can change things at any time. So like if you decide I want to go into KU, we have built our system so that we can get things delisted very quickly, so that you can do whatever you want to with your book. We built a system where you can change the price and know all of our different retailers are going to change the price within about 24 hours. We know that like speed is your number one tool as an indie author to compete with the traditional publishers. And so we've made it so everything is very, very quick. We do a lot of vetting. So there's some of the different retailers we don't work with. It's because they can't make changes quick enough, or they have some sort of quirk in their system that would cause you all kinds of headaches. A classic example for us was back in the day, Flipkart, which would get you into India, but they couldn't change a price within 2 weeks, and so we never released it even though we had a contract with them. So yeah, for us as a distributor, we are just a tool to help save you a lot of time. We do that both by giving you one platform where you can like put in your tax information, and then you can choose one or all of our different retail partners. A lot of people will use us to get to certain places they can't get to directly, and we'll go direct to other places. So you have a lot of options with our system to do that.
And Kobo, as a publisher, what do you provide for the indies?
So we are not actually a publisher. We are a platform, so same deal, you keep your rights. So you are the publisher still, but you would be going directly. So instead of going through a distributor, you go direct. So you keep a higher portion of your sales for the cost of your time, essentially, to put into going direct to all the platforms. But comparing us to other self-publishing platforms, we're known for being the easiest and fastest to use, and we offer really awesome support. We also have a promo tool right in the dashboard, so you can submit to as many as 8 to 10 promos a week, where you're promoting your books directly to Kobo readers across the world.
Okay. Ricardo, what do you have coming up? What's your new thing that you're going to do for indies?
That's secret. That's not a joke. No, so yeah, we've got something planned on the discoverability side of things that we hope to release before the end of the year. So yeah, hopefully providing a new avenue for readers to discover books, following a slightly different model than the existing ones. So it may work, may not work, but yeah, we're gonna try to get in there. Otherwise, the main thing we're really working on and keep building is our Reedsy Book Editor, which is our formatting tool, which is also a writing tool. So we've got a lot of authors actually writing in there, and then they're stuck because they can't export a Word document to work with their editor on it. So we're going to add Word import, which everyone's been asking us for. We're going to add Word export as well. And the next step is going to be adding track changes and commenting so that you can actually work with your editor directly within the tool. So you can start ditching Word and other formatting tools. You can do everything in there. But yeah, that's going to take a bit of time, probably a year or two.
And between last year and this year, BookFunnel rolled out direct sales, because previously they were free, and then all of a sudden you could sell your books through BookFunnel. So what do you have coming up?
So we don't actually do the book selling. We've enabled you to sell the books, and we do the delivery. Perfect. We kind of felt like the sales part, that question had really been answered like a decade ago. Anybody can set up PayPal. Anybody can set up Shopify. All these different platforms. WooCommerce is probably our biggest one. Indies are DIYers. Everybody wants to set up their own website, their own bookstores, and do things like that. So You actually do all the sales, and then we handle the delivery portion of that, which is great because that means that we don't actually take any cut of the sales. Everything goes direct to you. And so we've had a lot of authors that when we first released it, it was a slow rollout, which most of our features are. We kind of know when we build something that it's going to take. We tend to build the thing that somebody's going to need 6 months from now. So then when in about 6 months, people started really jumping onto the platform, and we have thousands of authors now that have set up their own bookstores and are now selling direct. And, when I built the sales platform, I didn't think anybody would use it, right? I thought authors would use it. I didn't think readers would buy. I kind of had the impression of it like, well, nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to buy at their bookstore. They don't want to buy directly from you. And I was terribly, terribly wrong. Readers love their authors. We get emails from them all the time saying, oh, I love her so much, I will support her to the end of the moon and back. If they put up a sales link and they're wide and they've got their books everywhere, but they're also selling direct, 9 times out of 10, their readers will buy direct from their website, giving them 95% of the profit because they love their authors. And usually a simple plea that just says, hey, listen, here's all the bookstores. Buy wherever you like. But if you buy it from me, I get a little bit extra cash. And readers love their authors. They will. So the new stuff that we're kind of working on now are, it's secret. So just like... Some of the biggest thing that we're probably working on is just we're always working to make the experience easier for readers, for them to retrieve their books, for them to get the books to their devices as quickly as possible, and then to be able to read on more devices. Like I said, we're platform agnostic. We don't care. We have every Kindle, every Kobo. I just got the new Kobo Forma. Chrissy Monroe gave me one. Woo! It's really nice. It's a really pretty device. So we in our office, we literally have all of these Kindle Fires and Kindle e-readers and manga Kindles out of Japan and all kinds of crazy stuff that we buy everything that comes out the minute it comes out so that we can always stay on top of everything that's changing and how best to get those books to every one of those devices. So we're always working on that to try and make that experience easier for every reader, no matter what device they could possibly be on.
Thank you. Kinga, please. What do you got coming up new?
Yeah, so we actually just released a month ago a new pricing model as well, and pricing option. So basically for $100, you can get the same royalties you would get going directly with all the stores and all the marketing features there as well. So it's pretty good deal for the artists who are selling more than $1,000 per month. I've seen that many of you actually are selling even more, so it might be a good fit for you if you don't want to have a hassle to deal with all the different stores. We have in overall like 400 stores included in the platform, so it's pretty good reach globally. And then, yeah, we are looking at the other formats as well, what the authors are actually using for their content, like how to sell your ebook in other formats like in print or in audio as well. So as Kobo, Christy mentioned from Kobo, they are stepping into the audio. So these are really interesting markets to step foot in. And yeah, as we are a tech company in our DNA, we actually have even more data right now what we are working with to make sure that we can have better tools for you for your marketing, because that's the biggest problem what many of the authors are facing with as we actually are working with. So we have thousands of authors in our platform currently, and we can see that it's pretty good to have a global distribution, but if no one actually can find it, no one can see your book, it's not visible because you have no marketing, then obviously it's not that easy to find and not that easy to get sales. So that's what we are working on.
Thank you. Kristen?
So from a Kobo Writing Life perspective as a platform, as I mentioned, audio direct uploading right in the dashboard. So if you guys are KWL users now, there's an ebooks tab, there will be an audiobook tab where you can upload, control your pricing. And I think those of you in the audio game know that that is huge and something that's been completely overlooked by Audible, who's so focused on the subs part of the business. I would love to see indies break that and go into a la carte audio sales, because we have authors. Hey, round of applause. Thank you. We have authors in beta now pricing first audio 3 in their series. Why not? And the rest at $3.99. So I think that is going to be extremely exciting. So if you have audio ready produced and you want to upload it, email us, writinglife@kobo.com, and we'll get you lined up for beta when that's going out, end of this year or January. And from a Kobo perspective, real quick, we're always just expanding. The way the model works is we're the ebook and audiobook provider, and then we go into markets and partner with the biggest retail chain or bookstore chain and do that digital side for them. So in Canada, that's Chapters Indigo. In Italy, Mondadori. In France, it's Fnac. So you're not just getting your book in front of Kobo readers, you're getting in front of where shoppers in those global markets are buying their books. So the latest we just launched is Walmart this year in the US. So we're delivering ebooks and audiobooks and devices there. And we are always launching in new markets. So I think there's like 5 new ones that will be in next year globally. And we have BizDev going like crazy, getting that global reach.
So we have this dream that we want to make sure that you as an indie author have access to every market that a traditional book has access to. And so in doing so, we have been building a ton of tools over this last year and have a ton of stuff like on our radar for the next few months that are like, we've partnered with Findaway Audio to make sure that you can produce and distribute an audiobook at a very reasonable price and get it everywhere. Because like, we do believe that the world is better when the books are available everywhere, not just at one platform. We announced at NINC that we are working on a print program. So we're going to be doing print on demand and have a similar reach to what Ingram Spark will get you to. You can reach Amazon. We're going to make it really, really easy because I don't know how many of you guys have print books, but it's not the easiest thing to do in the world. And so we've gone through and just streamlined the process. We don't have any of the fees that Ingram Spark has, so you can always set up a print book with us. The print market is changing rapidly. A lot of print sales have moved over to online. No matter what happens with Barnes & Noble over the next few years, print is going to be changing even more in the future. So we want to make sure that indie authors are there to capture those readers once you actually have access. Because right now, the only advantage traditional publishers have over you is they have a monopoly over access to the bookstores, essentially. And so we want to be ready for when that's no longer the case. We just are in the final stages of releasing a product to help people who were in Kindle Worlds, and then when Amazon dropped Kindle Worlds, they didn't have a way to do anything with those books. So we've created the D2D shared universes. So if you want to do collaborations and let other people write within your world, that's the product we are building. We've already got a number of the people who had Kindle Worlds set up and going now, and we're going to be opening that for everyone. So like, if you want to have a shared universe, you get to approve which authors are allowed to write in your world. Then you're going to get a share of the profits, and they're going to get a share of the profits. So making collaboration as easy as possible. On another front, we agree that like one of the biggest problems is discoverability, and so how do you get your books found? And so we've been working on a ton of stuff with that. We released universal book links last year, and if you don't know what a universal book link is, it's through our Books to Read website. It's completely free. You just drop in a link from one of the retailers like Amazon, and we will go out and find the link on all the other retailers. You can just put that link into your social media post, and when a reader first clicks on it, it'll ask them what their favorite retailer is. They'll get like a nice list of all the different retailers. Once they choose a retailer, we'll always send them to that retailer. We remember which link they chose. So it's a really easy way to make sure you're not just sharing people the link to Amazon. Because like when I look at people's social media, often they would maybe list the Apple link and the Amazon link, but they wouldn't have a link for Kobo. The cool thing about universal book links is they always have the geolocation, and so we'll get them to the right version of the bookstore. So those are some of the things we're working on. We've announced a number of library retailers this year, and we're going to be adding a few more by the end of the year. So we want to make sure you can get into every digital library retailer in the world too.
You've heard enough from me. How about line up at the microphones? So let's take your questions for the august wide panel.
This one's more to Kobo, but with Walmart that y'all went into, that seems to be doing okay for a Tribe Hub, and y'all have those little cards at Walmart. How do you get those cards? How can we get a rep to get those cards? How do we get into that?
That would be me. That's a very tight process. There's about 35 titles total from all publishers and KWL and distributors. So we hand choose them based on sales, read-through rates, we see reading data, and then potential. So we do try to put up-and-coming authors on there as well. So we're constantly looking to expand that as it grows, and we streamline the whole process. Obviously, it's pretty challenging to go from 0 to US-wide distribution in Walmart stores. So we're working to streamline that process, and we'll expand those opportunities into 2019 and going forward. But
Thank you.
Email, be in touch. If you want, you can always say, like, I have this big new book coming and I think you should know about it. We love hearing from you. So more opportunities coming.
Over here.
Hi, this is for the draft to digital person.
Yeah.
Well, first, I want to say I love your universal link. I've been
Thank
using
you.
it for my book. It's solved a lot of problems for me. But I'm wondering, if I, say, wanted to go to Kobo and go direct through them, currently I'm going through draft to digital, would my universal link only take the draft to digital process, or if I was going direct to Kobo, could I still integrate it into my universal links?
You can still use the universal book link. Once you get the new link at Kobo, like once it's up live at Kobo, you would rescan. It's one of the features on the universal book link. So if something changes, like even if you're in KU, you can use the universal book link. And if you just came out of wide, you just hit rescan, and then it'll just automatically go to whichever Amazon store it's supposed to go to.
Okay.
But yeah, you can rescan. We wanted to make it as flexible as possible. You know, with the universal book link, they don't have anything really to do with our distribution portion, so you can use them no matter if you use us for anything or not.
Okay, great. Thank you. And like I said, I love the new tools.
Thank you. Over here.
I also have a question for you. So if you have affiliate links, how does that work with your...
So universal book
Universal.
links will allow you to put in the affiliate codes for all the different retailers where you have them. So you can enter that, and we will, when we're redirecting a user to the storefront, we will append that onto the with the affiliate code. If you don't provide affiliate links, we provide our own, and that's what kind of pays for the server costs for us.
This is a question for Dan and Chrissy. Dan, I have 2 books that just started in your Kobo promo, your D2D Kobo promo
Yeah.
on Wednesday. And originally I had been about to switch to upload directly with Kobo so I could get it on their promos, and then I got the email from you saying, hey, we're doing this promo with Kobo. So what I'm wondering is, are you going to continue to do these type of promotions where we can access them through D2D for some of these other retailers?
Yeah. So we do a whole lot of different promotions with different retailers. Sometimes it's hard for me to find, depending on, like, we try to reach as many people within our system as possible. All the retailers handle the promotions differently. And so each time I'm building a list, like, I'm looking at what's kind of starting to move already. So sometimes, and people I meet at conferences too, and I know they have something that fits a particular promotion. With the Kobo promo we're running right now, they let us enter like all genres. A lot of times they'll be theme-based, so they might be romance, or they might be summer reads, so they want something lighthearted. Kobo, we are in the same pool with direct publishers as far as what we're promoting. With KWL, they have a couple of pages that are only for KWL authors, so they have some different stuff. All of our promotions, there's no charge for or anything. Apple runs promotions for us quite often. We've done a lot of stuff with Overdrive and some of the new library retailers recently. Barnes & Noble we do stuff with, but they have a very long lead time, so it's, I have to pick things to promote there like 3 months in advance, which for indie authors seems like a crazy amount of time.
Just a quick follow-up. So I got the email from you that said, like, hey, do you want to submit your book for this
Yes.
promotion? Is that how you do it for all your promotions? Because that's the only one I've ever seen.
Yes,
So
that's how we do it right
I
now.
never got one for iBooks or...
We are working on adding something into our user interface to make it a lot more visible to people. It's a challenge because each retailer does different types of promotions. Like at Apple and Barnes & Noble, they have pages for bundles. I'm not sure. Do you guys have a page for bundles? Not yet. Some of them, they want you to have a percentage off, and you just tell us what percentage, and the retailer handles it. Some of them, they want you to lower your price. Sometimes they give a coupon code. So we're working through all the details to make that easy but not confusing, because right now it's a very manual process of, I think I've sent out and answered like several thousand emails over the last few weeks about the promo, which is daunting when I'm traveling. We are looking to hire someone to help me with that and like to manage a lot of those emails. So we're doing a lot more of those. But I think last year we had promoted like over 60% of our authors, and we're trying to get that number up as much as we can.
Thank you.
We can go to the next question.
Hey guys, thank you so much. So this is a bit of a question for Dan as well. The last question sort of answered it a little bit, but I just have a question. I'm moving into going wide myself, and I've heard from some of my friends who are wide that when they're with Drafted Digital versus going direct with the different storefronts, they tend to see better sales through Drafted Digital than they do when they're up on direct with the storefronts. Can you speak to anything about what that might be going on, or what any promotions you guys might be doing behind the scenes?
So like there's contractually there's no reason. However, we do a whole lot of different checks on the metadata to make sure the metadata is correct. That might not be happening at some of the retailers. And so I think that's one of the areas where, I've heard that from several people. I hear that more often than not, but I did hear people that once they went direct, it went better for them. But yeah, we have really great programmers. They're really geeky, and so they kind of nerd out on making sure the metadata is right. And a lot of authors get that wrong sometimes. With Apple, like a lot of times people aren't familiar with the Apple Bookstore because you can only access it if you have an Apple device. There's some categories that you might choose, like your buy-side category, that just end up in the wasteland at Apple that's nearly impossible to find. And so we redirect some of those to a category that's actually going to be found in. Like if you choose like a fiction anthologies, like if you have like an anthology, if you choose that category, your book is never going to be found on Apple Books because it just goes into gets dumped with all the classic books with the Western literature. So,
thank you.
Yeah, this is for Dan.
Dan Woodshed.
Yeah. Our publishing company has been using Smashwords for quite a while, and we had a little difficulty with them. Our company's Invoke Books, by the way. I was going to push that. And then we stumbled upon you, and absolutely love your company.
Thank you.
It's just wonderful. Could you explain to people what the advantages are to you as opposed to Smashwords?
So, if you don't enjoy reading a 150-page guide on how to format your book, I figure if your website takes that sort of guide to use it, that's problematic. If you like web pages that don't look like they were made back in the 1990s, give or take, we've got a better site. We are now, I think we've had at least a dozen major announcements this year of new things we've added. Smashwords has had like 2 this year. So they're slowing down quite a bit. We have worked with Data Guy and some of the people to see that we're outselling all the other distributors by quite a bit. And so I think that's just the hard work we're putting into getting the metadata right, making sure books are always up because sometimes something happens. So we're constantly checking through automated tools to make sure the books have placement. So does that answer everything?
No, that's a start, but thanks very much. And it's great that you're going into print now.
And I will say you can go to us and Smashwords. We have no problem with that. They get to a few retailers we don't right now, and they have a Smashwords store. Our store is completely opt-in, so you can use us for bits and pieces or everything.
Thank you, Dan.
Is Kobo going to make a serious effort to challenge Amazon? I mean, we really do need some competition, and the competition right now that out there is pretty much a joke, mainly BN, but, so.
So we don't focus on Amazon US because every dollar we spend on marketing, we lose 10 or something. I don't know. But Walmart is obviously our best bet in the US, and we're quadrupling down on that and making that process as smooth and seamless as possible, and there's a lot of marketing dollars coming towards that in the US, so really Walmart will be the brand focus for us, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And then in terms of global reach, we have always been focused on getting into new markets first and fast, and really maintaining our market share in those markets. So what you see here in the US is really not reflective of the global market at all. It's not reflective of Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, like all of these countries. We have a huge presence and there's lots of readers there. And there are markets that are just maturing now into digital, and some of those might be audio first markets. So I think it's important just to always keep in mind when you see those stats on like Amazon book sales are 85% of sales, like in the US. Yes, not everywhere else. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and on just ending that, we can see that many of our authors who are actually here as well, they can sell 2 times more sales if they actually are not just on Amazon. So that is a huge opportunity for all of you actually who want to sell globally, because you are missing out on big money if you are not going wide. That's what we can see. And even there were authors, so I'm not lying, there were authors who went back to KU and then for 90 days, and then they came back to us and they said, okay guys, I tried it was cool, but I can see that I can make more money with you guys. And yeah, if you want to be a full-time writer, focusing only on writing and basically paying your bills from your royalties, then you definitely have to go wide. That's what we can see, because not just the US market exists, definitely.
Just want a quick note to that. I think the hardest choice you've got coming up for you is being exclusive with Audible, because the audiobook market is changing rapidly, and it's a 7-year commitment, and that's a long commitment. For some of you, it's going to make sense just to go ahead and stick with it, but I would start listening to all the different players talking about the different options out there in audio, because I think the audiobook market is going to be very different shortly. I think one over here.
Yeah, I actually had an audio question for Chrissy. And I was just wondering on your, you said you're going into beta on the direct upload, and will that have real-time sales reporting or time like?
Yeah, thank you.
So my question is to the whole panel. We've talked a lot about going wide. The implication is that you start off Amazon only. But for new authors starting out, you don't have a reputation built already, what do you say is the best balance between wider global reach versus the challenges of marketing yourself in multiple places simultaneously to build an audience when you're starting out?
I have to say, I really don't like that idea of going KU first. I think your first book out and when you're growing, it's like you're giving, you start yourself in a catch-22. You start to see that money and it's really hard to leave it behind. You start to learn one system and you get really comfortable and it's hard to leave that behind. And you're putting your books, when they're first out there, strongest, their release date, and you're putting so much effort into building your brand all into one place. I really like the idea of having a business plan where you're going to grow your global readership and work on building that, learn the systems, learn that global market, and just work to build it from the ground up how I think is the right way. I know people say there's no one right way, and I respect you for your business decisions, and this is totally fine, but I love to hear the stories of people going wide first and committing to that plan.
Yeah, and you actually can stand out much better and much easier if you go wide, because obviously the other platforms, they are not that saturated as Amazon. And for instance, with Kobo, we have the option to request free review copies for you as well. So if you want to actually have more reviews on your books on Kobo, you can have that through our platform, but we can do that for you for Apple Books, for Google Play Books as well. So it's pretty good, because those areas where you can get a review, your book will just stand out, because there are not so many reviews there, there are not so many books as they are in Amazon. So it's much better for you, and then your book will be listed on all these other platforms, and then your search engine optimization will be just way much better, and the readers will find you way much easier. Thank you.
So I'll play the devil's advocate here. I don't think it's a bad strategy to start with KU first, because Amazon does a great job of kind of, you don't have to necessarily market your book that hard. So when you're first starting out, I think no matter what, the thing you should be concentrating on is writing a shit ton of books. And so it's not a bad strategy. I don't, often we want to reduce it down to being either or. And the fact is, you can be in KU with some stuff and you can be wide with some stuff. I think that's the best, because I think the perception a lot of people who've made it big on Amazon have is everyone on the other platforms has heard of me and they're just waiting for my books to be available there. They don't know who you are whatsoever. So unless you start building your brand on the other platform, and so I see some people who are very dedicated to wide and have the majority of their stuff up wide, but they'll write a series for KU specifically to reach, because the KU readers are kind of a different market. I think maybe even Amazon created some readers with it. So it's a very different market than the wide readership, and so I think it's good to have stuff both wide and exclusive. That being said, you should really just write a ton of books so you have that option.
Well, I think just last few words on the KU versus wide thing. What we learned right before this panel is that you don't want to piss off Chrissy.
Sure.
So there you go.
Let's hear it for the Going Wide panel. Thank you.